Do you think, like, the funny thing about Affinity players is because they know their deck is fantastic, because it is. I've seen a lot of Affinity players, for some reason, they have, like, a lot of also Affinity hate for the mirror. So, maybe we don't do this? What would the 4 cards be if I cut that, though? How many shareable things does Affinity run? Overmaster's excited, back to 3 muddles. I'm also running double odds ends. I have not considered turn burn, but we have talked about the card. I would rather run a Declaration in Stone. Yeah, I would probably run a Declaration in Stone before if we want something that's tutorable off the muddle, before I start running something like turn burn. Now here's a thought. Here's a thought, and this is where I guess I'm less. I think that the odds, or excuse me, I think the ends side of odds ends becomes less cute, is when we start to realize that if I'm transmuting, because it's just a 2 of, if I'm transmuting, then we're already probably at that point in the game where it's late game, so ends is fine at that point. What happened about going to sleep? It just didn't happen, Kilowatt, but my headache has been feeling a lot better. My head's felt a lot better. My headache actually started to go away not too long ago, so I think I'm ready to keep jamming. Talk to me, stream. I need 4 more cards to come in against Affinity out of these, so... Do we want to keep jamming the Brain Beck? I mean, like, Beck Call still... Like, Bird Cestral, still very good against Affinity. Like, really good. It, 4 cards. Or if I can make 2 cuts. I mean, again, Jace and Cryptics aren't all that exciting in this match. Also, I don't really have time to transmute against Affinity. So, that's something to consider. Nahiri at least does something. 4 mana so much. Yeah, she is. I think that we still run Bird Cestral, even if they're going to be bringing in hate for it. I think this is another matchup, just like we were talking about with Ad Nauseam, that I just can't really justify tapping out for some of these walkers. I just can't. So I think we need to still jam some of this stuff. I think Mind is okay. Clique could be relevant. Clique trades, it seems fine. So Vendilion Clique, okay. Yeah, I mean, Vendilion Clique does flash in and then trade with something, maybe. I mean, again, I'll run the muddles if I'm just using them as a tutor. Like if I'm just hoping to slow my Affinity opponent down long enough to start muddling up more Wear Tears or more Snapcasters to reuse them, that's fine. This card makes sense to me in that sense. But look at our curve. Like, ugh. Remand is so bad against Affinity. Maybe some of this stuff. Maybe you try to still run the Bird Brain anyway, because Cryptic's not all that exciting against Affinity. Yeah. What do you guys think? Yeah, I'm not all that excited about Command against Affinity. I think you keep Nahiri, at least its removal somewhat. Is it? Is she, though, in this matchup? I think what I see Affinity do against blue at red is typically they just try to like go wide and go to the sky, which is funny because like Jace really is good at like making that not really a thing. So I kind of like the Jace there. And then we have 3 more cards. Do we want to run... I mean, we could run some number of Nahiri. I just don't think we should run the Emrakul because that's a pipe dream against Affinity. Like, we're winning because we stopped them from doing what their deck is trying to do. And then we managed to cobble together like a Vendilion Clique or a Snapcaster or a Jace at the end. And just kind of went out of control there. I mean, between us having all 3 Muddles in, we should be able to locate some Snapcasters and do the snappy beats at the end. So, we kind of just try to stop their deck from doing what their deck does, and yeah. Wouldn't run... Yeah? Oh, I don't think we bring these in against Affinity. I think there's 3 spots. I mean, maybe run the Remands because it cantrips us to the stuff that saves our butt. Well, okay, here's something you need to consider. Alright, so when you're assessing a Planeswalker against an aggressive deck, no offense to Nahiri, when you compare... I'm not trying to say that she's worse or better than Jace, because they're better for different situations. If you're trying to slow somebody down that goes wide, Nahiri is not the answer. She is not the answer, because you're going to tap out for 4 mana, and you're going to minus her. You're not plussing her against Affinity, you are minusing her. That's not so good. That's... Like, if this is a grind match, that's fine. Trade Nahiri, or use half of a Nahiri for a Tarmogoyf. That's reasonable. Jace, though, is plussing. And Jace, if the Affinity player is trying to go wide, and we've already been killing some of their creatures, the Jace will likely live to the next turn to plus again. And that is relevant. And that is kind of my point. When I was thinking about Nahiris, hang on a second, and that was my point. When I was thinking about a full playset of Nahiri for the tournament, you do realize if I had a bunch of Jaces, instead of the Remands, I would run 3 Jace. I would run more Jace. I would run that many Jace against Affinity. Now, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying we might need to look into a split of Nahiris and Jaces. Because of that reason, because of what I just showed you. Because against something like Affinity, I'm more interested in this Planeswalker than I am in this one. Dry says I wanted Jason then fill the rest of the slots with Nahiri. You're thinking no Remands, just 3 Nahiris? She doesn't remove cranial plating though, Dry. She does not. She does not do that. She's not able to do that. Unless you ran like a Tamio, she's not able to do that. Or like a Ralzeric. She's not able to remove cranials. Tweet says, Sean, you are on point. Jace is great. I'm just saying that Jace also does the Nahiri, does what Nahiri does. He also can bring out your Emrakul. So, like, this is another place where I wish I had more Jaces over Nahiris. Nahiri does seem bad, you're right. I'm just saying we could go the other way. We could literally run a playset of Jaces, and then the Nahiri is the other walker that does the Emrakul in addition to Jace. But I digress. That's a thought. That's a thought. No, don't, please. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Andy. I'm glad you're here. Okay, Andy, I need Andy's, my buddy Drew used to play Affinity. I need a sideboard plan for Affinity. We can't decide between... We need 3 more cards to come in against Affinity. Look at these sideboard cards, Drew. What comes in? Also, how much Affinity hate were you running as an Affinity player? Or how much Artifact hate were you running as an Affinity player? Because I would really like to just still be running the Brain Beck. I think that Fused Brain lines up really well against Affinity. As it does Infect. I think I'd really love to still be running this engine. Vandal Blast. We should just put it back in some of the combo. Yes, that's true. They do ult in a they do have a change in the amount of time that they ultimate. But if I'm not bringing an Emrakul, I'm more interested in Jace over Master. I'm much more interested in Jace, Architect of Thought. But yes, Nahiri ulting in 3 turns versus Jace ulting in 5 is a big difference. That's true. That is a big difference. Yep. Wait, Jace ults in 5. He starts at 4. Okay, then he goes immediately to 5. So turn 1, turn 2, 3, 4. Are you sure? Oh, it is 5 because he has to get to 8 and then ult the next turn. That's true. Okay. That is relevant. When playing Affinity, maybe 2 actual hate cards. Okay. Thank you, Drew, for answering my question. We're going to keep this in. Thank you, Drew. You were awesome. How bad is Cryptic against your deck, by the way? Is Jace even considered better? I'm not interested in that either. Thank you. Get out of here. I'm not that interested in Vendilion Click. I'm really not. Although it could trade with something that flies. I don't know about that. Thank you, Drew. Alright, so we're still going to be doing this. Cool. Okay, I have 2 more slots then. 2-3 Jace Nahiri split. I'm thinking about it, Jybor. I'm thinking about it. I am thinking about doing a split. Because she's cool. In some matches, I'd much rather have a Jace, though. Also, Jace doesn't get hit by Celestial Purge. Raisin says Jace is more annoying than a Cryptic. Okay, Jace then. See, like, okay. If I had a second Jace, this is where it would come in. Right here. And if we want to make our Affinity matchup flawless, I would need a second Jace Architect of Thought right there. Right there. Because, and for no reason, I know him in real life, he played Affinity for years. Him saying that makes me think we finally need to go down in Nahiri. And run a split. Even if it's literally just for things like against Lingering Souls or Affinity, I kind of like a split of 3-2 Jace. Affinity also just gets around Crypt by activating Manless. Right. Or we can just run the Vendilion Click. See, now I'm second guessing the build. Do you need to borrow a Jace? On Magic Online? Yeah. In paper, I'll figure something out. I don't think he's that bad. Now, I've got 4 Nahiris coming, and I'm sure Overmaster's not going to agree with this, what I just said, but it might need to be a split, Overmaster. In favor of Nahiri, in fairness, in favor of Nahiri, we might be happier with a split. We might be happier with a split. We might. I mean, how good is, like, Vendilion Click against Affinity? I got you, I'll need it back, but let me know. Oh, no worries, Tweet. Seriously, like, Andy, like, as an Affinity player for years, you do not care at all about me trying to Vendilion Click to block one of your creatures, do you? Like, your deck is designed to go wide against things like my deck. Snapper says, Nahiri still ult in 5 if you minus her, though. Right, but Affinity goes wide, guys. The deck is designed and does a good job going wide. Jace is just the better walker, even if it's a slower ultimate. And I'm not bringing in the Emrakul anyways against Affinity. I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot by thinking that we have to run 4 Nahiris. Like, having some flexible walkers that still pull off the Emrakul, that... I really like Jace. I think we should maybe do a split. I think we should test a split. I've got 4 Nahiris coming. I can still play 4 Nahiri at the tournament, but maybe we should consider a split. Yeah. I know Overmaster's not going to agree, and maybe we can still try to shove 4 Nahiris into the 75 somewhere anyway, but this really worries me that I'm looking at us boarding for against Affinity, and I just do not like what's going on. I just do not like what's going on. And I trust you, Drew. I mean, Drew, you played Affinity for years.